Hello, and welcome to Your Brand Express podcast, the podcast where business owners, authors, coaches get a chance to articulate their processes and how they express their brands. With your hosts, Carl and CJ Aline. Get your favorite cup of coffee or tea and get a notepad and enjoy the ride. All right, everyone, we're here and we are ready to rock. CJ, what's going on?
What's going on? How you doing, man? I'm doing good.
I'm doing well. Had my meal. I'm excited. I'm ready to do this podcast episode. Hey, that's right. That's right. And so, first of all, really excited about the things going on with Your Brand Express Media. Your Brand Express Media is the umbrella company. Your Brand Express is an offshoot of that company, offset of that brand.
Yeah.
That's right. And we're really excited because we have some things rolling out soon, which we want you to stay tuned about. Really excited about some incredible programs going on, incredible products that we're going to be distributing, incredible programs we're going to be putting out there. Really excited about that. So
notified, definitely.
Stay notified. Stay notified for sure. So CJ, today, that's right.
Hit the notification bell on Instagram, whatever you got to do. Just follow us up and hit the notification bell.
Do it. And the cool thing with that is we put the sign up and everything. So, cool thing is we'll be on different platforms with this. We'll be doing some shorts with Instagram. We'll also be doing some YouTube shorts. And the video version of this podcast will be on YouTube as usual. So today we're talking about video, right? Video marketing, video confidence on video. How do you project yourself on video? Because it's super, super important. And a lot of people feel nervous about presenting themselves on video. Is that true?
Man, coming from people that do it, like, even me, I sometimes get nervous to step in front of a camera when it's like a new script or it's like my first time doing a video in a minute. It's like, man, this is like kind of nervous. Happens to everybody, it's part of the process.
Right. It's part of the process. And, actually, you know what? I don't know this about you, CJ. You're my son. But what would you say? Would you say that you're an introvert or an extrovert or both? Mixture of both.
Introvert. I feel like I have moments where I have extrovert moments, but I had to build up to I had to get there to like be able to do that. So it's kind of like, yeah, I'd say I'm an introvert though. I prefer to be introverted, like to myself in a way, but I do have like moments where I could like be extra.
So you're extra. So a little bit of both.
Introvert because I prefer like just being to myself or in a way like not around a bunch of people. But extrovert in a way that like if I'm around a lot of people, like I like to and like enjoy the company, like get excited when other people are excited and stuff like that. But I'd say I'm more so of an introvert. Like I feel like I'm more.
And I do know this. What I love about you is that you have your crew, and like you influence them, your friends, your family members, friends, younger siblings, cousins, but you rally them around you. So I said that aspect of you is like the extrovert. You're like a cheerleader. You know what I mean? And you love it, and I feel like it energizes you. So it seems to me like you have that aspect as well, the extrovert side of you.
Right. Like maybe I could be defined as an extrovert. I don't know. I feel like I have characteristics that might make me an introvert. It's like me thinking that I'm an introvert and I'm doing introverted things, but really like I guess people rally behind me, which is pretty cool.
Dude, they do all day. All day.
Crazy.
And that inspires me because for me, guess what? What would you say I am? What would you say I am?
You definitely look like an extrovert. You look like you kind of mastered what you do in a way. Like I think you're an introvert, but I think at the same time, like your gift is like doing what you do. Like, you're talented you're multi-talented, and that you're so good at it that people would think you're an extrovert.
Ding, ding, ding. You hit it on the nail, dude. I am straight up an introvert, hardcore introvert. And it's interesting because, I think about that like in the 90s in the 90s, if you were considered an introvert, from my experience, like you would consider somewhat selfish,
Mm.
which is interesting, and nowadays it's different. The game has changed, which I really appreciate. I think back then there was a part of me that had a shame, like I was ashamed to be considered or consider myself an introvert. But now I'm like, I say it loud and proud, dude, I'm a hardcore introvert. I love to be and do my thing. Of course, I love to be with my family, you know what I mean? But I love my moments, especially after I perform. And you're right, because I do have some extrovert tendencies, but the reality is I had to get really skillful because being in the entertainment industry, especially back in the 90s, the 80s, 90s, and the 2000s, the way you got successful is you had to physically show up and go to places. So if back then we had record deals, they're record deals now, but it's way different. As a musician, we had to go to a concert for a major artist and wait till the artist finished and then audition for the artist.
Damn.
And this was like 1 o'clock in the morning, 12:30, 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, dude. And we just had to be ready to go. That's just how it was. Of course, now it's different with technology and everything.
Yeah,
so
that's crazy.
That, yeah, right. But those opportunities have really trained me to have those tendencies where when it's time to be on and just turn on the switch and go. You know what I mean? So and I applied it with dance, with music, with acting, and even with speaking on camera or public speaking. Turn on the switch and go for it. But when it's time to turn it off, I'm chilling. But the thing is, it gets when you're, for me as an introvert, if I'm giving, I'm gonna crash when it's time to turn it off. I'm chilling. I need to go see a movie. I can see a movie by myself. I'm like, whatever. I just need to get some downtime. You know what I mean? So
Facts.
interesting. See, we know more about each other. See?
Yeah, that's dope. Or I can relate to that in a way. At least when I'm streaming,
Mhm.
like I could just press off. You know what I'm saying? If I know for you, it's different because you're touring and things like that. For me, I just press like the off button and I go off. Shut off a little bit, just wind down.
Yeah. Like if I'm in the middle of a crowd and where something's going on, I'm not gonna be like, all right, guys, I'm leaving. However, there were times where that has happened.
Really?
I'm gonna go now and go do my do something, or I'm gonna go rest right now. Or even when we're amongst family, I've done that at different times. I try not to, but I do believe in self-care. So you got to do what you got to do if it comes to the point where you're really, really burnt or toast. You don't want to get to a point where you're burnt out. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but yes, so this relates to on camera video marketing on camera, and on camera presence and on camera confidence. So CJ, you have some questions for me?
I do. I have a few questions to ask you this episode.
Okay.
And they're all about like what we were talking about. My first question would be like, how did you become like a specialist in a way? Like, you said you're an introvert. How did you become like a specialist in like speaking on camera, like confidence with it, like everything like that?
Confidence on camera? That's a great question. Yeah. I mean, I kind of cheated because I have a couple decades of experience. I mean, even I'm in my late 40s now, but even as a teenager, we were groomed. We were trained as performing artists. And I have that background, like I mentioned before. But however, this is a different game. This isn't. I'm able to use the skill and the abilities that I've learned with singing and dancing and performing and choreographing, etc. And when it comes to speaking online and speaking on camera, I'm able to use different skill sets that I've learned and acquired and bring those together. The key for me was to acknowledge that and also be mindful, because when you have certain skill sets, sometimes all of us have skill sets, but what happens is we don't realize that they're skill sets, and it's easy for it to be dormant. Like for me, for example, like I used to be a talent agent, and so in my mind, the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I can't use any of those skill sets with anything I do now. Can I? But that's a limited mindset, because a limited belief, because there's a lot of tools that I could take from that skill set that I've learned and apply it to what I do now. So, so for me, acknowledging it and also seeing what the skill sets are and identifying what the skill sets are. For example, when I like to speak on camera, like for those who are looking on the YouTube version of this, I'm looking right into the lens. And that's different from my eyes wandering and thinking. Like when I naturally speak, I'm thinking. I'm a heartsy person, so I'm thinking. So my eyes kind of wander because I like
Right.
to explore. But I know I am mindful of when I'm speaking, my eyes are connecting with yours, and I'm telling you a story, or if I'm making a point, I'm very intentional with that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's an example, which is it seems like a very small thing, right? But it's a big deal because if I'm speaking to you, if I'm staring right at you, it's like I'm speaking to your soul.
Right.
A friend of mine mentioned that to me one time, and I was like, wow, that's good. He gave me that feedback. It's like when you're speaking to me, it's like you're speaking to my soul. I was like, wow, that's deep. Seems like something small, right? But that's a huge deal because when I'm expressing myself and I'm giving a message or what have you, or giving a speech on camera, I'm able to resonate with that person because I'm endearing myself to them and I'm bearing my soul to them and I'm staring directly to them at them. You know what I mean?
Right. I like that.
Yeah, yeah. It's because it's super important. It's super important because people need to feel that connection, that one-on-one connection. And the hard thing is, now we're kind of like after the pandemic, right? Back then, even during that time, people were more online and people got tired of it and exhausted. For a lot of us, we were on before the pandemic. We were online speaking on camera. So we're going to continue to do it. But for a lot of people, they got tired of it. But if you could engage with someone and speak directly to them and look directly at them, it makes a huge difference. It's like you're face to face,
Right.
and it's a subconscious thing, but it's so, so important, CJ.
It's facts. I think
Facts.
for me, it was weird because I used to record my old videos like with my microphone. Like I had some videos of my face here and there, but most of them will be on my microphone, and like you can like talk into a microphone, like your phone. You can talk to your phone just like that, right? Like on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
But with the camera, it's like you want to make sure like you're. I don't know. It's a lot of just small things you got to think of while you're doing it because like
Right.
yeah, having the conversation, I tend to wander my eyes, but
Yeah.
it's something like that. It's like you just gotta think of it on the fly almost. But that's a skill you
Right.
just keep building just with the more videos you film though. So it's dope.
Exactly. And it's cool because what I loved about which I take from the entertainment industry. It's my frame of reference. A lot of my experience. Um, it's cool because you have different skill sets and you can explore with them. But one thing I learned is that you do something and you don't do well with it, or you feel like you failed at it, you keep trying, you keep going at it. Like if I'm learning a dance move or I'm singing a song and I keep messing it up, I got to keep trying, keep going at it. So it's not something I'm kind of like verbally doing or just, but it's well, I'm being verbal, but it's something that I have to be conscious of. It's not something that's quote unquote tangible, so to speak. But in my mind or in the back of my mind, or both, I'm working towards that direction and I'm being super intentional about it. You know what I mean?
Right. What do you think is the most important tool in developing an ability to make an impact with your message? And what does that mean like for other people watching?
Gotcha. Gotcha. Well, that can mean different things. It depends on what aspects
Mm.
of it. So I'm gonna talk about in the context of video marketing and confidence on camera. So as far as confidence on camera and being confident speaking to the camera and speaking to one person, the tool, I think to me, the most important tool is the lens of the camera. And I look at that as, people may look at that as, okay, that's my phone or that's my DSLR camera, what have you. But that lens is important because it's like it's like I'm staring into people's eyeballs or someone's eyeballs, So understanding that helps me to make a connection. Now, I might feel intimidated to do that. If I feel intimidated to do that, I could take a couple of steps back and I could practice in front of the mirror. So I guess I'm giving two answers right there. The lens, but if I feel too intimidated to start practicing with a lens, I could practice in front of a mirror and speak. When I was a choreographer, I still am a choreographer. I said, when I was a choreographer, I'm still a choreographer. But one thing I do when I'm teaching movement and presence is I have people stand in front of the mirror because it's hard to stand in front of a mirror and look at yourself. It's just, I don't know, for some people could do that all day. But for a lot of us, it's really just hard to do,
Right.
because we don't want to look at ourselves and observe ourselves and stare too deeply at ourselves. But the reality is, we're God's creation, and when I think about that, I think about being an instrument, just like a guitar or just like a saxophone or what have you. How can I play my tune well? So if I took a couple steps back and if the lens is too much for me, I look at myself, as an instrument, and so I got to make sure I tune myself well. Can't anyone? No one can tune me like I can tune me. You know what I'm saying? Like I could have other people help me and train me and coach me, which I do. I'm a big fan of that. But it takes me taking a moment and looking at myself in the mirror. Now, once I feel comfortable looking at myself in the mirror, I'm gonna get back to that instrument I was talking about, or the tool I was talking about, the lens. And I keep practicing in the lens. I love that tool of speaking into the lens. If I could get that comfortable, I won't have any problems. Well, everyone has problems, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It makes it so much easier. It makes it so much easier to be able to do what I do and speak the message. There are other elements, like storytelling and, knowing what to say and having the content I want to put out. But that basic connection of the lens is super important.
Wow. I love the reference you made, like with the mirror and like the instrument. Like that's crazy. Just I don't know. Like I don't look at myself in the mirror often. Like it's not something I think about, but it's like that can help me just with confidence on the camera. Like I don't know. That's a dope reference right there. I don't know. I hope y'all caught that one.
Oh yeah, super. Oh yeah, CJ, super important. And I'll be honest with you, to be transparent. Naturally, I don't like to look at myself. I don't like to look at myself because of many different reasons. I think, for a lot of us, we could love ourselves more. We could always work towards loving ourselves more, not in a selfish way, but loving ourselves where wow, we're created beings. We're creative beings as well. And exploring that. Look at all the incredible things that we can do in this life, and really taking a moment to explore that. Part of that is knowing what you have to work with. Like, for example, I think about the instrument of a hammer. I'm not going to use a hammer to scoop ice cream.
Right.
But if I know what the hammer does, I can use it for the right appropriate, things to do, So as myself as an instrument, if I know what I can do, that just helps me to grow. That helps me to grow in my learning ability, my ability to do different things, my skill sets, and it makes it an exciting journey. It makes it an exciting adventure,
Love it.
Yeah, man.
It's like I'm, generally asking you these questions right now because,
Oh no, it's cool.
I'll let you know that.
Oh, you're my man. I appreciate that. I feel honored. I look up to you as well.
Appreciate that. It's honorable. Like in those black TV shows, they'd be like, "That's you. That's you. Shout out to you.
That's you. Shout out to you. My man.
Facts. Here's a good question. What advice do you have for someone trying to like overcome the fear of getting on camera? Because I feel like some people, that one thing's holding them back is like, dang, like how would I look on TikTok? Like if someone saw me, like my boy saw me, like I don't know how to overcome that.
So how to overcome the fear of how I might look on camera, or one might look,
or just getting on camera in general. Like some people hold down camera in general because of that.
Mm-hmm. Well, in my opinion, I'm a fan of finding different anchor points. Like some people use the phrase anchor points for different things, but I think about anchor points as far as when you got attacked, when you have to get something done, if you have to do something. What are some things that can help give you some momentum? Love momentum. So for me, for example, as far as getting on camera, I'll reference myself to certain books. Like there's a book called The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins. I love how she talks about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you take an action. Because in reality, the brain's speaking to us and encouraging us to do different things and say, hey, don't do that. That's just too much. And so many people will be looking at you and, oh, this is terrible. Don't do it, But those are our negative thoughts, our doubts, our limiting beliefs, But if we have certain things that can anchor us and help us and give us momentum to take an action and go for it, it's helpful. So for different people, they have different things. But for me, that's one of my anchor points. Reading a book like that, a 5-second rule, you know, and and that gives me momentum, because at the end of the day, what you got to push past your feelings. You got to push through your feelings. You know, I feel doubt when I get on camera. I don't naturally, as an introvert, I don't like to be on camera. I don't like to be in front of people. But I learned throughout the years of being a performing artist, I've always been in positions, you know, I feel like God's put me in positions where I would be in front to lead by example, you know? And I'm not trying to sound arrogant with that, but it kind of, it makes sense to me now, and it makes sense to me then. But it's cool because when you could lead by example, you people have a frame of reference already, and then you could speak it. You know, so when I do things, I try to do it first and then speak it. You know, so but that, you know, that being said, I had to really train my mind and train myself to take action and get on camera and just do it. You know, and that's a simple thing to say, just do it. But I find that getting certain anchor points for yourself to make happen. Some people, when they're taking action with something, they'll do affirmations for themselves. They'll write it 50 times. I got this, or I get myself on camera, or I get on camera, whatever affirmative words you want to say, and they'll write it out. I'm a fan of that as well. I think there are different things that work, but for me, that book that's helped me out in major ways. I've also done the affirmation thing as well.
Right. And I feel like this is a bunch of roots. Like everybody has a routine, like, you know, getting ready for, you know, work or school. Like you have a routine to do that. But like some people don't really have like their routines. Like believe it or not, you have a routine before you get on video. Like you could tell yourself,
Right.
like, dang, I don't know if I could do this. Like you're telling yourself right then and there that you can't, or you might not be able to do it. And that's like letting doubt creep in. Sometimes it's like you got to push past your feelings. Sometimes they will get the best of you, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. It happens to pretty much anybody, but I would say just follow through. I think that's, you know, just press record. Like simply just press record, try it out whenever you get the chance to, and you'll literally see the progression years down. You'll thank yourself later on, just like, dang, this is crazy.
Right. And some other things some people do too. They might batch all their videos, like record all the videos all at once and then set them up to go out at different times, or send them to their editor to edit and etc. Go through their process. You know, I love what you said too, though. I love what you said with just you said routine. Routines are super important as well, and super helpful, because you can set up a certain time where it's your routine to record and do video, and you get more into the habit. You know, the interesting thing about confidence is that you take little steps and you have success with them. And even if you fail, the success is that you took the step. And that's a success. Those little steps give you confidence. You know? So like what you mentioned, and I kind of followed up on with that thought, that's a big deal as well. I love that.
Right.
Actually, I'm gonna get back to that myself. Routine. I have routines for other things, but I don't think about routine with on camera, because when I get in creative mode, like what I try to do as a confidence coach with on camera is I'm always looking for different ways to get on camera, because the reality is one doesn't have to show their face on camera. That's the reality. People have different perspectives. Different coaches will say different things. The truth is there are people who are millionaires who don't put their faces on camera, and they'll do like a video sales letter with a PowerPoint. You know, they'll do B-roll. You know, they'll do animation. There's so many different things to do. They might use something like Doodly, you know, that a software like that to do like pictures and videos. You know, there's more than one way to skin a cat. You know, and I'm not going to skin a cat, by the way. You know, so that's. But what I find as far as with confidence is when I understand that I have options, it's like, yeah, I got options. I ain't gonna do it one way. If this guru says do it this way, I don't have to do it that way. I can do it whatever way I want. And that's what I tell students. Look, you can do it whatever way you want. You got to make it work, and you got to test it out and see how your audience will respond to it. But there's not only one way to do it. Make sense?
Yep, absolutely. Can you offer any tips to, you know, speaking on camera to make a positive impact? Because sometimes you have like you record with no like intention, but just make like a
Yeah.
positive impact, like to do better.
Right. I think when you say the word intention, positive intention, I think being intentional with whatever you
Mm.
put out. So if you want to put out, you mean a positive message, you mean?
Really just like a positive impact. Like someone watching the video would just feel like
Ah,
encouraged and
yeah.
to make them feel like
Yeah. I mean, one, you have to know who your audience is, know who your
Mhm.
avatar is, know who your audience, and know what message you're trying to relate to them. What their pain points are, what they desire, what is their goal, what are they trying to get to, and getting them to that point, getting putting out content that's going to help your avatar get to where they need to get to is that's pretty much the key, the most important thing. And in that, there are different ways you can go. I know for me, when I put out content, I like to talk about, like our theme is, video confidence. We're talking a lot about that right now. But
Mhm.
also, I'm also going to talk about affirmative words. I'm a firm believer. I tell you guys as my kids too, words have power.
Yeah.
And words carry a lot of weight. So I'm big on that now. As a man, as a husband, as a father, and as a businessman, even saying, if I say something, make sure I follow through and do it. But the words I say, saying words that won't sabotage me. Like saying, for instance, I know I'm not the best at this, but no, I'm not. I try to be very intentional with words.
Mm.
So talking about the theme, video confidence, I'll talk about that, and I'll also talk about words and how words have power. And also, I'll put quotes out there as well. Quotes that come from me, because we all have powerful things to say. You know,
Wow.
and so I've done that pretty much through a good amount of my career, even as a coach, as a dance coach, as a performing artist, because I really believe in people feeling empowered. But one who puts out content, definitely speak to what your avatar needs. Find out what they need to speak to it, and that in it of itself is positive, and it's effective.
Love it. What advice do you have for people that are like struggling to build their confidence on camera?
The key thing, the main thing I'll say, besides making the lens your friend and staring into the lens, is practice. Don't underestimate the power of practice. You know, like what I take also from the entertainment industry and also being a dance coach is, when you take something simple and you dissect it, you get so many cool parts, and you also can reform it into different things. So if I take the idea of practicing on camera, I could say this. I could say the same phrase. How many times can I say the same phrase? How many times can I say the same phrase? How many times can I say say the same phrase? You see what I did right there? I said the same
Wow.
thing, different ways, but my tone was different. You know what I mean? So when you say something, when you practice and dissect what you're doing, and be a mad scientist and play around with it. Be a mad scientist and play around with it. Be a mad scientist and play around with it. Did it again. Oh man. you
Awesome.
know
Right. That's I
what I
like that.
mean?
Yeah.
It's important. I do that. I've learned to do that with music, and I've learned it by mistake, by blowing it many times with as a singer. But it's
Right.
helped me out a lot. I've learned. I've made my mistake. I've also did it with dance. I made my mistake and I turned it into a power, a superpower.
I like I'll say another thing too, kind of like similar to it. Um, like sometimes your practice video might be your video. Like
Yeah.
sometimes in a way, like sometimes you might stutter, you might say something like the wrong way, it doesn't come out the right way. But
Right.
I'd say for that, try not to like get on yourself about it. That's literally something I do a lot. Like you won't see it in my videos, you know what I'm saying? But because
Right.
it's edited. But like when you stutter, like when you like stutter or like say the wrong thing, it's easy to like say to yourself, like, dang, like I'm so bad at it. Why can I not talk? But
Mm,
that's the self-talk kind of what we're
right.
saying. Just like um we talk to ourselves all the time. You could be like, oh, let's
Right.
go at it again. Go at it again. You know what I'm saying? That's a better way to say it than, oh dang, I
Right.
can't talk. I'm not good at this.
Right.
Because that would
Again.
just discourage you in the long run. So I
Right.
start by saying that.
Right. Do it again. Do it again. Also, a couple things too. I find that my worst videos, at times, they've done the best. They've done better than my most polished videos. It just works like that. Your audience is going to tell you. Your audience is going to give you their response.
Right.
Your avatar is going to give you their response. You know, there was another thing too. I was trying to make sure I remember what it was. But yeah, that's the main thing. You know, imperfect action is super important. You take the action. It doesn't have to be perfect. You know, do your best with it. If you make it fun, you get a lot more traction with it. You know, I know for me, when I talk, I stutter. You know, and I'm still learning. I've learned to embrace it more and have fun with it, and that's part of my personality. I could always get better as a speaker, and I will get better as a speaker. But until then, this is the journey I'm taking, and I'm enjoying it. And that helps me to take my time with what I'm doing, as opposed to rushing through something or feeling, you know, giving into my anxiety or what have you. Just going for it. You know what I mean?
Love it. It's facts.
Facts. Straight up facts.
I think this podcast was rich. I think it had a lot of good info. Is there any way like we could find more of this, like on a specific website? I don't know, something.
And we'll leave in the link in there as well. But you can go to the Ultimate Video Marketing Checklist. Ultimate Video Marketing Checklist, where this is a list that we're giving out via video, and that's the site you can go to. And we'll give you some value, some tips on sending up a great video. And also, we're going to be putting out more content alongside that as well. So check it out. Check it out. And also, you could also follow us with Your Brand Express or YBE Media on Twitter. Your Brand Express. You could just put that in the search area on all the social media platforms. You can find us for sure. All platforms.
Give us a follow. Give us a follow. Give us a shout out. You know what I'm saying? If you enjoyed this episode, give us a shout out. Post us on Instagram. Get some new people coming in. You know, from your friend group. I'm sure they like something like this if they're into video and stuff like that.
Right, sure. Right. If you could, pretty much what we do is we work with coaches, with authors, with podcasters, with public speakers. You know, if you're trying to present yourself on camera, it's not always the easiest thing. So we want to help you and assist you in that way. We can help you to feel comfortable.
Yes, sir.
And also stay tuned and get on that list, that wait list for our webinar coming up soon too.
For sure. Definitely get on that.
Both links will be in the comment area, or both links will be below. Check it out. There you have it, y'all. We hope you enjoyed our podcast. If you would be so kind, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Or if you're listening to any of our platforms, whether it's Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whichever one, please be so kind to give us a 5-star rating if you enjoyed the podcast. And we'll talk to you soon.